The film is Queen of Chess. We're here with the filmmaker, Rory Kennedy. Hi, Rory. And the queen herself, Judit Polgar. Thank you very much for coming, and congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
Of course. So the first thing that jumps out at me when I watched it was, boy, it's a big press story. There's so much media there. There's thousands of inches of press coverage in newspapers and everything. Were you surprised during your research at what a big story chess was, especially during the Cold War?
For sure. I think that, chess is in the zeitgeist. I was kind of shocked, honestly, that chess.com has a membership of 300 million people. I
did not know that.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so big. And I think, for me, the Queen's Gambit, pulled me into the game of chess and just appreciating it more. And I think that was true for so many other people. And it was kind of during COVID. And I think chess really kind of burst onto the scene. Yeah. So I was really excited to be approached about doing a documentary about Judit Polgar and reading her story and learning, this is a person she was the #1 female chess player for 26 years, a quarter of a century. She was the youngest grandmaster ever and dethroned Bobby Fischer. And, she's the only woman who's ever broken into the top 10. So I was kind of shocked that I didn't know her story and had never heard her name, even though I'm not a chess player. I knew Bobby Fischer, I knew Garry Kasparov, I kind of know the big players. But I'd never heard of Judit. And I really just got kind of hooked on her story and how she got there and what she went through to have these accomplishments that she had over the course of her life. So
it should be a bigger story than it is. Also, I have to add, you became a grandmaster at age 15. All right, that's in and of itself pretty insane. Why are so many sexist men attracted to the game of chess? Is there something about chess that attracts these aggressive, the clips you have in the film of Bobby Fischer and even Kasparov, what is it about them?
Well, I think chess was always a very deep sport. It was, of course, in the Cold War times when Fischer was playing Russia against Soviet Union against America and all those things. It was much more than a game. It was much more than a sport. And it was clear that it's a mind game and sport and a lot of blood around it because it's such a big fight that somehow it became that kind of game that the guys, the men who are thinkers, strategists, they are playing and women are somehow behind. And
but you're beating them game after game.
It was fun.
I'm sure it was. And I also feel like there's a fascinating moment that your documentary is structured around, which is this double touch that Kasparov did in that famous game and the way that the video footage was used. But you didn't raise that issue at the moment. There's an interview with Kasparov in your movie. Did you think about really pinning him down on that? Did you think about asking him further on that? If he did the double touch or not?
Well, I did ask him.
Yeah.
And, he responds in the film. I think, one of the things that was so amazing about this moment, and it was the first time that Judit, at the age of 17, played Kasparov, who was really her idol and her hero. She had been following him since age 5. And then this very kind of dramatic moment happens. And as a filmmaker, what made me very happy is that there was, as you know, there was a camera crew that was covering it, but they had left. But
they left the camera on.
They left the camera on.
Yeah.
So we were able to get that footage and use it in the film. And I think, that footage, along with a lot of the other archives that we were able to find, I hope helps people feel like they're kind of part of this journey with you, as opposed to just like being told about it, that you're really, because learning of her story was really on the edge of my seat, both in terms of her kind of how she accomplished so much, but also in individual games, is she going to make this one move that will change everything?
It's really interesting, though, because the documentary at that point turns into almost an investigation, and you have this footage and you have this moment, and then also the way you respond in that moment as a teenager is itself fascinating. Do you ever feel the burden, or did you feel the burden then, and do you feel it now of being a woman and being the youngest in, you know, and what that represents?
Well, basically that moment, this shocking moment, what has happened, as Rory pointed out, it was my first encounter with Gary, that it was very special, and ever since the whole chess world is talking about it, that this special moment, how it happened, what happened. And for me, I can tell you that ever since, this is one of the occasion and situation when I'm still thinking about it, what should I have done, did I do the right thing? What would I advise to youngsters if they end up having some similar situation? And what is it when you are a talented prodigy and you have a chance to meet your idol, world champion, and you know you're very small and people believe to the big guys. So
what would you tell a woman now? What would you tell a young person?
Well, it depends on many things. You know, sometimes when you're upcoming talent, you not necessarily have to argue with the big ones because you may destroy your future opportunities. So there are a lot of debates and a lot of things I'm thinking about this during watching the movie, and ever since I had that. And I'm grateful to you that you actually asked Kasparov on this, because I could never talk it out with him. So we couldn't have it in a private conversation, so now the whole world sees it.
Yeah, there's a sense of completeness about that. And I also love that the documentary is not just about sexism and not just about chess, but it seems to suggest that the older you get and the more you step away from your father's experiment, as he calls it, the better you become as a player, the more rounded you become as a person. Was there a moment when you said, I need to step away from this, Dad? I need to get married. I need to experience the world.
Of course, and I mean, many people think in many different ways how we grow up. Of course, my father is a very charismatic personality with great passion and perseverance. And of course, he was deciding on many of the events in the beginning when I was a teenager. Well, I was a kid, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Young,
but
yeah.
later on, for example, there was a big thing when I made my decision when I was 14. I said, I'm not going to be playing more on Women Olympiads. We won already twice the gold medal, and now I'm already off and going to play only against men. And of course, from that on, there were quite a few decisions that my father was not very happy with, or he was not supportive at first. And later on, he said, okay, it's your life, you make your decisions. And obviously, you cannot be a great athlete if you don't have your inner drive and perseverance to go on without anybody around. It has to come from your inside.
I mean, families is a subplot in this, and I wonder if that's something that you resonated with, Rory. I love that we're here at Sundance and everything that Sundance represents ethically in terms of what the festival has been for so many people for 40 years plus. Does it feel good to be back? Do you resonate with Sundance still?
I love Sundance, and I have, you know, I have a such a special place in my heart for Sundance, and I came here with my first film, American Hollow, in the late 1990s. I was 28 years old, and it really kind of helped establish me as a documentary filmmaker in the world. So I so appreciate, and I'm going to do a shout out to Robert Redford for starting this festival. And you know, one of the things that's so unique about Sundance, especially during those early days, is they treated documentaries on equal ground, equal footing as scripted films, which nobody else did.
Right.
And I think as a result, Sundance helped, you know, really support filmmakers like myself and so many other filmmakers out there in the world who I think have gone off to make really incredible contributory stories. And I'm just so grateful for Sundance, for being here and for being so supportive of the arts and ultimately of the artist, and not really losing sight of that ever with all of the money and the corporate interests and everything that was coming in. Like Robert Redford had such a clear vision. I'm going to support these films. I'm going to look for the best films, and I'm going to support these artists. And that's it.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be a bad journalist, pardon me if I don't ask this question, but I must ask, do you have a comment about the Kennedy Center?
The renaming of the Kennedy Center, yes, I do. I don't like it. I think the vast majority of my family is vehemently opposed to it. I think that, you know, this is a center that was created by Congress to really celebrate my uncle's passion for the arts and for the importance of the arts in society. I think that honestly what's happened with the renaming, my understanding is that it's illegal, and there's a number of legal oppositions to the renaming. It was an act of Congress, and it's not really up for the board that Trump appointed in order to be able to do this, to make that decision, that it needs to be a congressional approved direction, and that's not the case. So I'm hopeful that the legal case will play itself out, and it will go back to its name of the Kennedy Center. And I also want to just do a quick shout out to the many, many artists who have withdrawn from the Kennedy Center or refused to perform there with the renaming in opposition of you know, Trump's taking it over.
Thank you for indulging me, and thank you guys for this amazing Q&A. Congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure
Thanks.
meeting you.